This time it's May and we're back again at Charity Fields in Desford. We're in a different field. Last year we were down on the floodplain. We have the same team of people from Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust doing the botanic survey. We're following a W pattern across this ridge and furrow field. The people in the background are working on the first of the quadrats. We're going to do 10 quadrats as we zigzag across this field in a W pattern. The field is going to hopefully record that there are different flowers in this field compared to the one we were doing last year. We don't anticipate it will be as floristically rich, but what will be to our benefit is that we're going to increase the number of species, because this is a different type of terrain, much more steeply sloping, and we're going to record different species. For example, we're going to find pignut here, which we didn't previously. We're hoping that it will be sufficiently floristically rich for us to qualify for a grant. We need to submit the evidence to the Rural Payments Agency for the two fields, the one we did last year and the one we're doing this year, as part of our argument that these fields are worthy of a grant and protection. This year it's Uta and Seb who've come from the Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust to do our survey. As you can see, they were introduced to our 8 Aberdeen Angus 2-year-old cattle that are here as part of the low intensity grazing over the summer. In order to work properly, although they're no threat to us, we isolated them in the lower field. Uta is one of the most experienced botanists at the Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust, and Seb is a trainee. Each new quadrat point was determined by me walking along the transect line and stopping when Uta told me to. She was at her previous quadrat point and could not predict what flora lay beneath my feet. This methodology ensured that there was no bias in our selection of survey points. The markers have been removed from the corners of this quadrat now that it's been surveyed, but I'm going to talk about this area immediately in front of us where Uta and Seb have just completed the first survey, and among the species that they've found is bulbous buttercup. There's a lot of bulbous buttercup in this field. It's one of the 4 buttercups we found. It's an early buttercup, and the way we identify it is that the sepals, the bits underneath the petals, these light greeny bits, are folded back on themselves, and that's the identifying feature for bulbous buttercup. There are quite a lot of flowers that are going to come later. We can identify them by their foliage, but also in this square there's lots of grasses and sedges and that kind of vegetation. This is field woodrush, and it's an early plant. It's a good indicator of a nice habitat. We can identify some of the grasses not just from what we can see growing this year, but for example this one here is crested dog's tail, and these are the seed heads from last year which are still visible within this quadrat square. Back to flowers, and then this is the flower head of narrow-leaved plantain. There's lots of that in this square. These are 3 that are going to flower later in the year. Nearest my thumb is the leaves of bird's foot trefoil. The next one towards my fingers is the white clover, and the taller feathery one at the end of my fingertips is yarrow. One of the last grasses we found in this square is sweet vernal grass, which is an early grass that the cattle like to eat. We have had a successful first square. We've found 18 different species of grass and plant, a flower, and Uta and Seb have moved on to the second survey point in this W survey. The results of their species survey were very encouraging. We have an impressive list of flowers, and in addition a range of grasses, sedges and rushes. I would like to thank the wider Countryside team at the Leicester and Rutland Wildlife Trust for their invaluable help with this application. This list of plants was above the threshold needed to qualify as a species-rich meadow. We were also required to carry out a soil survey. The results of this show a near neutral acidity, a low nutrient content, and this is typical of this type of wildflower meadow. These conditions mean that, unlike modern commercial grassland, the rare wildflowers present at charity fields are not being crowded out by a dominant grass species. As well as the technical survey data, we submitted photographic evidence of the work we've been undertaking at charity fields. Although we rely mainly on volunteer labour, we still need to purchase materials for repairs and to hire specialist equipment and services from time to time. These have to be paid for entirely out of our limited income, which consists of our own fundraising, the finance from the Rural Payments Agency, and now the Stewardship Grant. So we were overjoyed to hear in November that our submission to DEFRA had been successful and that we had been offered a 5-year contract for stewardship of the fields worth £507 a year, and I had no hesitation in signing up to the contract on behalf of the charity. Given this funding, we can look forward with confidence to maintaining the charity fields as a haven for wildflowers, as a site for low-intensity grazing, as a place to provide guided introductions to the countryside for school and community groups in our area, and to offer opportunities for field research by botanists and other conservation groups. For more details on charity fields and how you can arrange a visit or to volunteer to help with conservation work, please visit our website.